Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Great Ace Attorney Part 2. We're gonna be heading back into the courtroom. We have managed to bring our missing witness to the stand, presumably. So, this is probably gonna be the last part of this case. Looking forward to it. By the way, yeah, I went back and looked at my previous VOD, and some of you guys were pointing out that the volume was a little muffled at the start. I realized why. I was pointing the mic the wrong way. See, I have a cardioid mic, and the mesh is like around the whole thing, but there's a facing forward section. But I was a little absent-minded last session, and I was pointing it the wrong way, which is why that was softer than usual. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary at first, but that was why. But yeah, should be fixed by now. Let me know if the audio is alright on on you guys' end. Okay, let's head into it. Joyful jumping jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume. I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Miss Naruhodo Esquire, and non-locum's judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent, and proof that my tea is innocent. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Ah! Hairlock Sholmes! May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent! I thought the tea was innocent. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came! How wonderful! Please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has a beauty all of its own, does it not? Oh yes. And then, I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep? I queried. Why, time after time, do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results? By first light, I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. But others presuppose I prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is a scientific method. Ah yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Ah! Yes, of course. It's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I managed to confirm that it contained strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Bottle found in the possession of Miss Green with traces of the slow-acting poison strychnine inside. That brings new perspective into this, doesn't it? Like, other than maybe just being in depression and like going to be like you know, she was trying to off herself, right? What if she was trying to hide the evidence at the same time? You know, just like she was trying to drink the evidence. Curious. Can we examine it though? Let me just take a quick look. So this is the poison we've been hearing so much about. Strychnine. There are a few remnants at the bottom of the bottle here, look. You mustn't be tempted to try it. Of course not. As long as we don't lose this trowel. No! Even if we lose the trowel. No! We mustn't lose the trowel in the first place, Mr. Naruhodo! Make your mind up, Susato-san. Do not drink the poison. Your descendant, though, he will drink poison. Ah, could I have a word? Oh. Gregson, how good of you to come. Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. From the look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the result, Inspector? Of the investigation of Mr. Shamspier's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspier's room? A man by the name of... Ah, yes, Selden. I went through the archives of the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that... Well, it caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector? I've copied all the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. This is the article from dying poison. Winchester Stranger's prison. While you're fine in the immediate first capital punishment was carried out. Yeah, it's the same article. Okay. Okay, I don't have the info right here, but wasn't Shamspier arrested for petty crimes at one point? I wonder. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspier's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though? Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion. Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful. Indeed, my dear fellows, and the Inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. A shining diamond? In the rough, maybe. Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Well, he's a good man. Counsel for the defense and the defendant? Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all, certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache in floods of tears personally, so the best of luck to you. Look, I'm starting Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Yes, Mr. Natsume? It's time, isn't it? Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shamspier. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Miss Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Rinosuke. You have to. Before the recess, we heard about Scotland and its defense.
Namely, the victim of the case for her here only a few days ago is the true perpetrator of this incident.
A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration.
The cool sister of the prosecution, I must say. Terrible over this. It's new, especially really to concern.
Ready and waiting in the witness antechamber, my lord.
Very well, bailiff, let the witness in.
Why does she have her easel out? Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shakespeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim, to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words. I'm olive green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose. Also currently unemployed, in other words. Wow. Savage. What a coterie. What word is that? I've never seen that word before. Hang on. We are learning a new word today. A small group of people with shared interests or tastes, especially one that is exclusive of other people. Ooh. Interesting. A starving artist.
Mr. Shakespeare.
My lord, I am thy humble servant.
I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victor in this affair. The possibility is raised that you are frankly a sinner to dread or taking the life of your fellow lodger. Before you pray that this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you.
I would for naught else, my lord.
Miss Green.
Yes?
You are aware of the reason you were summoned to this court today, I presume?
Yes, the officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon. Drew an arrow on the pallet. And, do you accept the charge, Miss Green? I don't know anything about any poisoning. And, I don't know anything about this man. Come, lady, die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly, pea-pigmented personage.
Here, as to see to the matter at hand, I wish to settle whether or not Miss Green is any offer in this affair.
It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It so happened that I passed by the neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And on the night that this man was poisoned, I was still in hospital fighting for my life. Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Gerda household. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days. I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife, through no fault of my own, and now I'm under suspicion. What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing.
Knife attacks a few, Miss Green.
At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shamsier's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why we would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened. Oh no! The incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relieve that awful accident? Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we would be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shamsier. But what happened 6 days ago was nothing to do with me being poisoned.
Let's proceed then. Who is to present this warrant to the court? On the subject of the incident that took place on Royal Road, the evening of the 17th of February.
Oh, yeah, this is interesting, right? We're actually really connecting the two cases now. This is like the part 2 to a previous part 1 case. I don't think they've ever done that with the quote-unquote filler cases, right? Although I guess no case in this series really, like in the Great Ace Attorney, really is like really filler. They've all been good character moments and stuff, but they're tying these two together, which is really cool. I just realized as well, it's funny. Victim of 1-4, victim of 2-2, both alive, both on the stand at the same time. It's a first for everything, right? Two victims on the stand. Considering that we usually deal with murder, that's a rarity for Ace Attorney. It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case have their lodgings. Those suspects, true. Both victims and suspects. I was at the tavern on the eve which thou speaks, for I had bespoke my supper. It was the first time I've been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business.
This is an incident that we can believe to be described as the haunted lodgings. I can only presume this is the most unfortunate coincidence.
Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shamsview. 'Twas the following morn when I did awaken that I learned of the dire events. Mary, what a commotion did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine. When Soseki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there is nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they are unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here, I feel certain of it, and this is my one and only chance to expose it.
Yes, sir, you will not consider this true, this is if you wish.
Yes, my lord. Well, I know the statement I want to press it really, but I guess we can just press all of them just in case they yield any information. Standard Ace Attorney procedure.
Hold it!
I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. And I woke up to find that the case had been solved and the culprit arrested. Yes, the incident had been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended with your awakening, and should now be forgotten. Yes, I suppose so. Thank you. But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case. The trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. I was just walking along the pavement.
Hold it!
What were you doing there that day, though? What do you mean? The art school you attend, what's it called? Ah, yes. It's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 stops away from the scene of on the underground. Actually, now I'm curious about something else. Hang on. There is... Alright, a cursory check. A cursory check reveals that there is no school by that name, by that exact name, but there is an elementary school called Thorndike Elementary. Since they're mentioning a lot of real places, I was just curious if that place actually existed. I believe you mentioned before you also live on Brixton Road, isn't that right? So why then would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End? Well, it's because, oh yes, of course. I thought it might make a nice picture. The witness is a student of art, city-dwelling artists can't all paint grand urban vistas. That's right. I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town. Perhaps quaint would have been a less grating term. The point is, she's definitely hiding something. Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth. She's trying to hide why she was there that evening. It must mean that there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shamspeare, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago. Would you tell the court what exactly you were doing? It would be my pleasure, sire.
Hold it!
A tavern, you say? Which one? 'Twas the Slug and Salad where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel. Yeah, I'm just curious if it was listed in there. What do you mean, Lord Benzies? The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality at least. Not an establishment you expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room. It's true. The menu lists premium crust of bread and glasses of water, in different levels of cloudiness. I would have expected grub scrubbery, the local vicinity, to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas. Or rather, soupy water and pea like mush. All equally appetizing. I just wanted to try some water at a different pub for once. What's wrong with that? How different can water really be? But perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. The specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment. Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. Mr. Shamspeare's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. I wonder if we have some evidence that can explain those actions. Good question. No, I don't think we do. Yeah, we don't have any evidence at the moment. I wish we did, but sadly I can't think of anything at the moment. If we find a clue that could explain why Mr. Shamspeare went there, we must present it to the court. Yes, absolutely. The envelope? You need the whole envelope? Yeah, that was something I was suspecting. Since it's the last piece of old evidence that hasn't been brought up yet, he probably received the message to tell him to go there, and that was what was in that envelope, but we don't have it yet. Yeah, we don't have enough of information to work with yet, so we'll hold on to that for now.
Let's just read the next statement.
I still want to press. No, we're not done pressing anyway. So, I wanted to press this statement. See, this statement's vague. I had a little matter to attend to. What's the matter?
Hold it!
What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate. It was nothing really. It's not worth mentioning. If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital. Ah. It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green! Ah, that was it, wasn't it? What was that? She clearly just hid something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. But what does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan.
Excuse me!
Mr. Shamspeare, do you have something to share at the court? To be or not to be? That is the question. Ah, pray forgive me. The great bard's words spring from within me with never thought. Don't tell me. It's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps. Well, Nay, nay, sire, trust nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though. Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house. I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me. So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours.
That's good.
Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong?
I've heard of a station before. Continue to note. Do you have an important person?
I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really.
Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please.
Well, there it is. The other half of it. Of course. That's what links Mr. Shamsphere and Miss Green. Right here. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah. What is it? The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen that exact same shape somewhere else. Oh, you don't mean. Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up. They go together perfectly. This torn off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. There we go. Do we look at the card itself, I wonder? No, we can't look at we can't look at it. I guess it just says that one sentence. It's Duncan Ross.
Hey, could you just already please for screen?
Alright, we can go back to the previous statement now.
Hold it!
Was it a statement? I think it was a statement. Yeah, it was. Okay. We have the evidence now. Mr. Shamsphere. Yes, sire. On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize, for a very particular reason? I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speak us. Very well. I will present a code of evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be in the Slug and Salad that day. Namely...
Take that!
I believe this card reveals the answer.
Good lord, this guy's card, you mean?
That's right, my lord. It reads, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shamsphere, your actions on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note. Personally, I find it hard to believe that that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shamsphere? Well... Excuse me, can I say something? Yes, Miss Green? That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it? Well, you think so, yes, but it's hard to believe it's merely... My lord, may I?
Hey, where's the screen?
I'd like to make something very clear about that card.
Very well then, you may make your testimony. Can I include the details about the peculiar note?
This note was delivered to me in my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man next to me here.
Objection!
Unfortunately, the day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address, and upon carrying out the instructions in the note, you found yourself in hospital. Yes, I did. It's terrible, everything that's happened to me. Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is. What do you mean? The screen. Have a look at this, please. It's the torn off end of an envelope. Oh, is it? And it so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received. Where did you find that? In Mr. Shamsphere's room. Eh? In my room? Mr. Shamsphere, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere? Well... Your actions that afternoon follow the instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 PM on the 17th. And so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shamsphere. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green. Ah, what did I do? As this torn off end of envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shamsphere's room. So how is it that it came to be in your possession? I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist after all. There is only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shamsphere's room and stole it. You did what? Sorry, thou hast... Thou hast what? You broke... thou were in my room? What on earth do you want with me? Yeah, I love the two witness interactions. It brings up a lot of stuff.
You see. What would you see the justice for again?
He broke out of character, he did. Miss Green. Yes? Whilst you have to court sympathy, I'm sure, for the suffering you have endured in the recent events. Anyone found to be giving false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind. Yes, I know.
The witnesses will give forward testimony again now. For the subject of this case anomaly regarding the note Miss Green have received.
I do remember now. 'Twas a week ago, peradventure. That note was delivered unto me. On the day written therein, I did tarry a long hour at the Slug and Salad, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening I shared the company of the Japanese fellow, I did see the note had vanished. I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into this man's room, do you? Why would I? I can point out the villain here, and as for that torn-off piece of the envelope, I don't know anything about it. I can point out the villain here, and she points to him. Huh. You now claim... Oh, well, I'm breaking character.
You don't claim to receive the letter, do you, Mr. Shakespeare?
Faith, 'tis so, my lord. And I would swear to have set it upon the table in my humble lodgings. Yet, 'tis clear to me now that since I returned from the tavern that night, I have not laid eyes upon it.
The case. Young lady would have been your testimony was.
A lie? Is that what you think? How unfair of you to think I'm the one lying.
I beg your pardon?
I'm just a fledgling artist, as I said, and fledgling artists don't lie. That note was delivered to me in my address. Besides, we all know who the liar around here is. If that's true, Miss Green, how do you explain the facts? This part of the envelope was, without question, found in Mr. Shamsphere's room. I don't see why I should explain. Sorry? I'm a fledgling artist. My job here is just to say what happened, that's all. It's your job to give the explanations and the proofs. You, the fledgling lawyer. The fledgling will do his best. Evidently, my learned friend's cross-examination is our only hope of learning the truth.
Good, sir.
I feel like Van Zeek's is also like wanting to find out now. He's probably curious, which is why he's like, you know what, go cross-examine it and find it out for us. I'm ready, my lord.
The version never seen the part of the evidence to the witnesses.
Miss Green clearly did break into Mr. Shamsphere's room. There can be no question of that. And that's how she acquired the note. Yes, two facts that are starting to lead me to a possible explanation for all of this. And it's not a pretty one. Twas a tragic tale of murder, of romance tragically cut short, and vengeance, like Macbeth.
Hold it!
And can you shed any light on the contents of the note at all? Nay, sire, this is strange to me as a foreign tongue. Even with a knowledge of literature as great as mine own, verily, 'tis impenetrable. And Mr. Duncan Ross had lodgings in the same household as you. In effect, he was your neighbor, so surely you knew him, didn't you? Alack, let the choice be twixt I knew him and I knew him not. And 'tis with foreboding that I be forced to declare, you were by some small measure acquainted. Despite your claims, though, you followed the note's instructions and went to the Slug and Salad. Presumably that was nothing to do with your knowledge of literature. Marry, naught will have the better of me, sire, save for the lure of curiosity. So 'tis true, I was compelled by mine own eager heart to betake myself to the tavern. Yet in the end, my curiosity was not satiated. I think I can guess what happened. She sent the letter to get him out of the room, so that she could break in and then put the poison on the lamp. Right? That would make sense. And then she was leaving, and then she got stabbed in the back. Yeah, I'm almost certain that's what happened.
Hold it!
So even after waiting for an hour, nobody appeared. Well, yes, sire. This as thou sayest. Really? You paused for a moment before you answered. In truth, when thou asked whether nobody appeared, I did suddenly recall.
Easy. You didn't say you could. If somebody did appear after all.
I was not alone that night at the Slug and Salad, my lord, no. 'Tis returning to me now. I did treat my lips to almost clear water, and mine innards to a premium crust of bread. And all around me danced a great many companions. What do you mean? Flies, sire, flies!
Good Lord!
In the name of Beelzebub, what were they? Fairies, perchance, from a midsummer's night dream, come to taunt me. I think they were just flies. I can't help thinking that the flies ought to choose something more wholesome to buzz around. Is that wrong of me? That was a completely useless interview.
Hold it!
When exactly did she notice it had gone missing? Such idle thoughts ne'er occupy my mind. I am busy with greater ideas. In other words, you didn't notice. Several days passed between your outing to the tavern and Mr. Natsumi's visit to your room.
Yes, you repeated it, disappeared, such a
Such idle thoughts ne'er occupy my mind. I am busied with greater ideas.
During the time Miss Green was comatose in hospital, was she not? Clearly then, she could not have been stealing things from Mrs. Shakespeare's room.
Yes. Yes, of course. It's all some sort of misunderstanding. Isn't it, Mr. Prosecutor, sir? You have so far failed to give a satisfactory explanation as to how you came by the note. I am not here to advocate for your defense, madame. I won't tolerate inconsistencies in your story. You would do well to remember that. Oh dearie me. What's Lord Van Zeek's getting at? He's caught on to, that this whole thing is fishy.
Hold it!
It seems that this note was actually delivered to Mr. Chancellor about 1 week ago. Oh, does it? But for some reason, it ended up in your possession. I can't think of any way that could have happened except for you breaking into Mr. Chancellor's lodgings.
Objection!
But for what reason would the witness have done that? I won't deny that Miss Green's possession of the note would appear to defy logic. However, until and unless her involvement in this case can be proven in some other way, any further pursuit of this note is meaningless. Miss Green could only have come to be in possession of this note by stealing it from Mr. Shakespeare's room. And yet, there's no obvious reason why she would have done such a thing. What if there was some other reason she broke into his lodgings, though? Yes, you should pursue that idea, Mr. Naruhodo. We're close now. I can feel it. We're so close to a breakthrough.
Hold it!
So you don't want to tell the court the truth about the letter, is that it? I'm a fledgling artist, remember? Artists are nearly always introverted characters. Introverted? Fie! This fledgling doth readily cast aspersions about my nature. Yet I am an angel, a seraph. Birds do harmonize with my song, the wind doth frolic on my wing. Oh pity, wherefore dost thou accuse one so pure of heart, Emperor woman? Well, I've never seen him do that dance before. Chat, he's doing the... Okay. Do you guys know the Take On Me meme dance? You know, the one that people do at conventions? I can't play the song, it will copyright my stream. I just realized. Yeah, it's not gonna work out. But yeah, he's doing that, he's doing the thing. Pure of heart? I don't think so. Even a fletching like me can see you're just a failure. Tragedy! Thou shalt not know the true heart of an artist, until thine instruction hereafter by death. Oh the days, oh the years! Alas, to enlighten thee, thou must wait so long and in vain. Mr. Naruhodo, interject with some clever remark. This is your chance to shine! No Shakespearean actor, Mr. Sato. No, as far as I can tell, the only thing that's going to resolve this argument is evidence. Yes. We're gonna have to present something at this point. But in fact, the difference between dinner fabric and the Chancellor's room, and that's what she found this letter. Terrifying. Yes, I'm afraid to say that the outcome of this cross-examination may well change how we look at this case completely. Why would you? Is it time?
Objection!
It's time. Yesterday at the hospital, he saw you with this bottle. And though the contents spilled during the course of our meeting, a small quantity remained. According to the defense independent analysis, Mrs. Sholmes' chemistry set, the liquid that was still in the bottle was identified as strychnine. What? Strychnine? The very same poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare. Miss Green, you broke into this man's lodgings. For one reason, and one reason alone. To cover the end of the pipe that feeds the gas lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room with poison. he's staring at her. She's very good at keeping up the facade, though.
Could this be?
You broke into my room to... It may seem incredible to the court, but from the remaining clues, there is only one logical conclusion that we can reach. Yeah, Shamspeare doesn't know who Miss Green is. The person who attempted to take Mr. Shamspeare's life with poison was you, Miss Olive Green. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, dearie. Me!
Answer! Are you seriously suggesting this woman put poison at the end of the gas fabric intended to kill?
Yes, my lord. There's no other way to explain the facts.
But the Miss Green did indeed see the Zodiac trap 6 days ago, and the victim had put his mouth to the pipe that very evening as suspected. The attempted murder would have happened 6 days ago, surely.
Well, that's a very good point. Perhaps not, my lord.
I beg your pardon.
There was a significant police presence in the area that evening on account of the incident on Briar Road. Local residents were being interviewed throughout the night as part of the ongoing inquiry. A circumspect criminal would likely have chosen not to carry out any wrongdoing at that time. Lord Van Zeeks. And of course, the following morning there was more activity in Mr. Shamspeare's address. More activity? Ah, yes! You mean his fellow lodger, Mr. Natsume, being arrested on suspicion of murder? That's right. And as the defense has already proposed, Mr. Chansey was meddling with the gas in the pipe for a very sinister reason himself, to cause the gas stove in Mr. Natsume's room to go out, thereby asphyxiating the occupant. But once Mr. Natsume had been arrested, his room was under constant surveillance by the police. In the circumstances, Mr. Chansey had no reason to blow air into the gas pipe. His intended victim being in a prison cell. With the need to tamper with the gas removed, the poison of the pipe lay dormant. And then, 3 days ago now, the situation changed again. Right, Mr. Natsume's trial, which took place here at the Old Bailey, came to an end.
The trial in which the man stood accused of stabbing Miss Green in the back was duly acquitted.
That resulted in Mr. Natsume returning to his lodgings for the first time in 2 days. And that very night, his gas stove mysteriously went out, and Mr. Shamspeare was mysteriously poisoned. In conclusion, the poison that was present on the mouth of the gas pipe had been put there in the victim's room some 4 days earlier. Mary! With that new understanding, it becomes clear that this letter was all part of the plan. The court will recall that the note gave instructions to visit the Slug cellar at 5 o'clock, and that the recipient should tell nobody else. The reason for those instructions are now clear. To ensure that the lodger would not be at home at the stated time. To make sure I wasn't home. Exactly. While you were out, Miss Green could safely slip into your room, knowing that she wouldn't be disturbed. You mean to say, that letter was written by Miss Green, yes. And in order to cover her tracks, she took it away with her when she left. Just after she smeared poison over the mouth of the gas pipe in your room.
I need to say myself with this.
Just who are you? Why did you try to kill me? Miss Green's motive should be obvious. It's all tied up. There's someone whose name we've heard several times already during the course of this trial. So, that's what's behind all this.
You will say you've had something at the court, please, Constable. This lesson is to send this woman's motive for the attack of the victim's life.
Take that!
Don't send us.
That's right. Before the defendant, Mr. Natsume, took up residence in the lodgings of Mr. Garadax, somebody else was renting the room. Mr. Duncan Ross. I knew I'd heard the name somewhere else. It was all over the papers a month ago, when the man died in strange circumstances in the haunted lodgings.
That does ring a bell. Oh, of course, yes, I remember now. The young man decree was strangled with a convict's curse or some such.
Sadly, my lord, it wasn't a curse of any kind, nor was it an accident. The man died as a result of Mr. Shamspeare blowing into the gas pipe and causing gas to leak into the room. It was murder, plain and simple. Ah! Well, what do you know? The world is so unfair. Curses, curious deaths, that's all people care about. If it's an interesting story they want to know, it doesn't cross their minds that real people are involved. And once they're bored, just 1 month later, once the story's lost its appeal, everyone's forgotten him. You mean you... Duncan was... Mr. Ross was Miss Green's fiancé. But... fiancé? You may not have known until now who Miss Green really is, Mr. Shamspeare. But she's known exactly who you are all along. Because you're her sworn enemy. The murderer who took the life of the man she was to marry. Marry? Miss Green, is it not the case that in order to exact revenge on Mr. Shamspeare, you smeared poison over the end of the gas pipe?
This is really quite extraordinary. I'm correct to my understanding that you now accuse both parties, Constable. It's a different case of murder.
Well, one attempted murder, The other one count of actual murder, the other one attempted murder. Yes, my lord, that's correct.
Objection!
Inhaling so deeply, it appears that my fledgling learned friend has taken in a lungful of dubious gas that's causing his judgment to be clouded. What? Why would Mr. Shamspeare have wanted to kill these lodgers, as you say? You have completely failed to provide a motive to substantiate your accusation against the man. Yes, that's right, Mr. Reaper, my liege. I have been slighted. 'Tis lies! All lies! And you'll have to forgive me, Mr. Naruhodo, sir. But I don't intend to admit to anything either. Miss Green. I'm sure you'll think I'm being very rude, but I'm not going to be sent to the gallows for the likes of this scoundrel.
Objection!
But you broke into the man's room. If you didn't do it to smear poison on the pipe, what was your reason? I thought I had a look around, that's all. Sorry? You're right. I suspected him. So I thought perhaps I might find some evidence or something in his room. Evidence that it was him who took Duncan's life. Oh, foulness! Oh, villainy! Oh, tyranny! Oh, rotundity of woman! But in any case, where I leave my room, I do turn the key in the lock. That whole place is falling apart. The locks on the doors are no different. Duncan showed me once how to unlock the door with some terps and a piece of wire. Oh, awfulness! Oh, artfulness! Oh, tyranny! Oh, profanity of woman! We will consider your trespassing on some future occasion. But for now, tell the court what you found. What evidence your search revealed. Well, I spotted the note that I sent him lying on the floor. When I went to pick it up, I noticed something. One of the floorboards was loose, and underneath it I discovered a secret hiding place. Eh? Yes, we also discovered that hiding place. Inside we found a newspaper cutting, a photograph, and an empty tin box. Ah, yes. Well, the thing is, when I found it, the box wasn't empty. What? There was something in it. Yes. This rather nice key. Ah! What are you doing with that? Whoa, that was relevant the whole time. What the? Every ounce of color has drained from his face. Give it here! Give it to me now! It's mine! I inherited it! What was that, witness? What did you say? You inherited it. Ah! No, What's all this about? He inherited that key? It was obviously important to you since you'd gone to such lengths to hide it, so I took it. I don't know what it's for, but you took something precious from me, so I took something precious from you. So what if it means you can't open something now? I don't care. Give it back this minute! Give it to me!
Oh, yourself, witness!
So Mr. Shamspeare has tried, and in one case succeeded, to take the life of 2 lodgers now. Yes, his motive for doing so is the key to everything that's happened. It's true that there appears to be no motive to support the accusation against Mr. Shamspeare, at first. But considering everything we now know, I think there is actually something that could explain it. What? I need to recall every piece of evidence at our disposal. Everything we've seen and heard. Because I'm sure that I just caught a glimpse of the link that runs through all these events.
Case card, sir. It's demanded you present evidence to the court in support of a claim. What is it that you say can explain the motivation of Mr. Shakespeare's alleged crimes?
Take that!
Yes, an official police report, is it not?
Selden found. How did you get a hold of that? Selden! The now sadly deceased Mr. Ross and the defendant Mr. Natsume have only one thing linking them. The fact that they had lodgings in the same room.
Yes, we know this certainly.
A room that was formerly occupied by Selden. Until, that is, he was arrested by Scotland Yard for his involvement in multiple burglaries.
I see.
And it so happens that the convict Selden left behind one very substantial mystery when he died. The some 1,000 pounds worth of loot that he stole, which as yet remains to be found.
Hey, this is Cruz. Coming back to me. It's written in the story here.
1,000 pounds lost en route to hell. That was how the papers summed it up. And it seems that one particular fellow inmate was with the convict in his final moments. It's not hard to imagine Selden entrusting that inmate with his most closely guarded secret, the location of the stolen loot, and perhaps a key to unlock whatever container the valuables were in. Ah, you mean this key is... Mr. Shamsphere, it was you, wasn't it? You were at the capital offender's side when he died, were you not? What are you talking about? This is a false charge, I tell you, a false charge! The name of the inmate who was with Selden at his death isn't noted in this file, but a simple telegram to the prison where he died will quickly tell us how false the charge really is.
What even if it's true? Why would I ever say that the killing of a certificate document in the convict's lodgings?
There's only one explanation for that, my lord. It was in that very room that Selden hid his loot. So, it all comes out. Yes, and having established that, all of Mr. Shamsphere's subsequent actions start to make perfect sense. When he was let out of prison following Selden's death, he made immediately for Mr. Garrett's lodgings in the hope of renting Selden's old room. However, the retired army man was unable to offer him the accommodation of his choice. Because Selden's old room had already been let to somebody else, Mr. Duncan Ross. Which is why Mr. Shamsphere subsequently devised this ghastly spot to kill the occupant of the room. And when he was successful, presumably intended to inquire about switching into the newly vacant room. However, a certain jittery someone had beaten him to it.
Mr. Suzuki Natsumi, the defendant of this case, no less.
So he decided to use deploy the gas again, didn't you, Mr. Shamsphere? This time to oust Mr. Natsume. All for one simple and avaricious reason. To get your hands on the 1,000 pounds of loot left behind by the dead convict. Ugh! That can't be it, right? That wasn't as bombastic a breakdown as I thought it was gonna be. Looks like I'm gonna snuff it before they get to stretch me neck. Listen, I want you to have me loot. Anything. To stop the coppers getting their mitts on it. It's in the room. I was lodging when they got me. Here. There's the key to it. Take it. Always stay one step ahead, mate. See you in hell, I guess. Shamsphere. You unbombastic your way to the end of 2-5. Oh, I don't doubt it. There has to be more to that breakdown. Right? It's mine. What did he just say? It's mine. That loot is mine. Oh, he's not done. Mr. Shamsphere! It's all lies! I don't accept any of it! Why should I? After all, you don't have a shred of evidence. You can't prove I killed that fellow. Forsooth, I'm the victim here, remember? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? If I don't admit to it, there's nothing you can do. You can't arrest me. For the time being, anyway. Verily, you can't arrest the victim, can you? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so close. I just need a few more hours. I swore to myself that I'd get my hands on it, and I can almost taste it now. Do you really think I just give up? There's no question in my mind now. This man is guilty, true and true. But he seems so utterly intoxicated by the idea of that loot. I'm afraid that however hard you press him, he'll never admit to what he's done, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a way. Pardon? There's one way I can finish him. No! He's already committed the most heinous crimes to get his hands on that loot. Which means all we need to do is find it first. A fine plan. Were it not for the fact that the police thoroughly searched the room following the death of Mr. Ross. If it's there at all, it must be very well hidden indeed.
I certainly cannot rule.
If only. If only there was some way we could find the convict's loot quickly. This is the final piece in this complex puzzle. But I think we might have it in our possession already. Do we? Ah, yes. It is this! This is worth £1,000, clearly! Here is the loot, presents Armband. You know, I actually have no idea. Huh. Do we have evidence? I'm drawing a blank here. I don't actually know. Or rather, I think we may well have something that can help us find out where the loot is hidden. My lord!
Yes, good, sir.
The defense would like to make a proposal about how to find the late convict's hidden loot. I believe we are already in possession of something that could give us a clue as to its whereabouts. Silly done, silly dunce. It's our last chance, so it has to be worth a gamble. Is it the skin prints thing? Besides, we've used the same technique once already, and it definitely paid off then. Ah, okay. We want to get Holmes on this, huh?
Good, sir. Good, your idea. But if a person could use in order to locate the hiding place of the deceased convict's hole.
Take that!
If I'm not mistaken, there's a essentially central to the wall of lodgings.
That's right, my lord. Exposed as a result of the defense's independent investigation of the scene. Based on a wonderful new discovery in the field of forensic science by the great detective Mr. Sholmes. A great detective? Is that some kind of joke? Do you really think I'm going to be daunted by a man with such a ridiculous title? I should think the great bard ought to recognize such a title when he hears one, Mr. Shamspear. Perhaps we should compete for the order of most ridiculous title. Ah! 'Tis Sherlock Sholmes himself! What are you doing here, great detective? Your usual haunts are the filthy backstreets of the capital, are they not? Ah, Mr. Reaper, it's been too long. And I see your complexion has worsened since we last met. But, Mr. Sholmes! He does know Lord Van Zeeks then. Well enough to say something like that in any case.
Mr. Sholmes, though you may be hailed as a great detective for the population at large, that does not give you the right to come and go in my courtroom as you see fit.
If I may, my lord, Mr. Sholmes' newly developed scientific method has helped us to uncover vital clues in this case already.
Clues, you say?
I call them skin prints, my lord. My method identifies every location touched by an individual under scrutiny. It's the method by which we were able to ascertain this gentleman's gas pipe activities. Ah, you need only a small sample of something the individual has previously touched to make an indicator solution. In your case, sir, I used the teacup you have been holding. Elementary. So now, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, yes. What am I to use as a sample to make the indicator solution this time? Thank you for offering to help, Mr. Sholmes. When the convict was arrested, he was living in what is now Soseki-san's room. We need a sample to help locate Selden's loot that's hidden in his old room. What form will the sample take? We will need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot. And something the convict owned happens to be in the possession of somebody listed in the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From whom can we obtain a possession of the late convict Selden to create the indicator solution?
Take that!
Miss Green! Ah, me! What do you want with me? The key around your neck, if you please. Sorry? The key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions on the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicator solution required from Mr. Sholmes' skin print seeker. And find out exactly what Selden touched in the room that he used to rent. Ah! Mr. Shamspeare, as one great to another, I assure you. If the late convict's haul was hidden somewhere in his former lodgings, I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth. In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key. No! Give the key to me! The detective shan't have it! It's over, Mr. Shamspeare. No. No! You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt! Whoa. Oh, Shampoo Spear! Despair! Be thy name! That's more like it. He got shot by confetti. Lestrade, was that you? Did you shoot him? That's more like it. I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room. That's all. So you'd have time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods. Yet after you killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused. Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Mr. Garrett really has had a lot to put up with. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then, this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume, what unfortunate timing. Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road, when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance, but it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And, if I remember rightly, Mr. Sholmes spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for this loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, he once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action will lead you into a deadly trap. William Shamspeare, how does it go? To be or not to be, that is the question. From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget how our conversation the night before Duncan died. The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive. The gas supply? Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. That's no joke. They say it's the convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please, don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is. Alright then, if it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There are spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave the horrible room tonight? No, I'd better not. We said to wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember? But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night, he fell victim to the gas. If only I'd known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all up and left with this bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped, Ethan-looking man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grub's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him, and set myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican. That place is cursed, I tell you, cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me! I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked, no problem there. It's like, I'm the problem! That's what they're thinking! But how could that be? Duncan was gone and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse? Then I remembered. A rumor I heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations.
A rumor? What do you mean?
Yes, everybody has heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes. How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework. That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End. A black market? I've never been. I just heard people talk about them. And you really can buy anything you can't think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out, one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident? Or was it murder? And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamsey was innocent, nothing will come of what you've done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly. I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspeare. And then I wrote him this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 PM on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough, so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked. And of course, Mr. Shamspeare followed the instructions to the letter. I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away, so I smeared a good amount of the poison I bought all around the mouth of the pipe, all the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done and that it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying that the devil's work would be done, and that the culprit would get his just desserts. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I think that's a Shakespeare quote, right? I'm cultured too. See, chat, I'm cultured.
Jesus, girl. Can you refresh to the dock before me? The surface is relatively straightforward.
Yes, my lord.
I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we shall subsequently find lurking behind the scenes.
It has been a long road, my Nipponese friend. Oh, yes. And one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you.
Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green,
Yes, my lord.
you will henceforth be stripped of your freedom, as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shakespeare.
Yes, I know.
And you, Mrs. Shakespeare, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mrs. Osaki not to be here present.
Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. Yesterday, at the hospital, when you and your friend stopped me from ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle. I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems. Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green. Oh, and I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shakespeare didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least. Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. Oh, Miss Green.
You deserve to answer me.
Yes, my lord.
The court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I will call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty.
We are in full agreement, my lord.
In that case, I hereby declare the defendant not guilty! Burn the courthouse down! Send up the pyrotechnics! Burn it all down! Boom! Oh god, the courthouse on fire! Everyone evacuate! Court is adjourned.
And now you see, Soseki knew not to tempt fate and say he's not going to step foot in the court again a third time. He just kept his mouth shut. Oh, yes, yes, at last. Divine justice duly done! Divine justice? My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache.
No! This has nothing to do with my mustache!
Some say that a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes.
Look, consider the Mr. Naruhodo Esquire!
Once again, you've saved me from doom! I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. Your second in almost as many days. I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature while in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books. You've had such a difficult time, haven't you? Ah, but a week ago now. I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not? You did. And I've seen more of life in this week than in all my years to date. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog. My dear fellow, there is nothing special about the true face of the English, as you put it. Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are a few genuine differences. Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live. Well said. I've come to feel the same way. I've made a decision too. I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan. What? Just when we become friends here in England. What a terrible shame. Oh, I know. That does tug at my heartstrings, it really does. But I've decided I'd like to take everything I've learned here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose. Oh my, so you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume? How wonderful. Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature. Why not? When that is precisely the definition, Mr. Moustache. I suppose you're right, yes. It will, in a way, be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur. I, for one, would love to read your work. Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with the Reaper. Ah, that's very true. And there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor. The desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand. My goodness, yes, face is such a terrifying prospect. Nobody will consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure. But that's not why I'm leaving! I mean it! Objection! Bless him. And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Soseki-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotomo was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well. On the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot, hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, because I was wondering this whole time, why were we keeping this thing a secret? What's so important? Time for the big review, I guess. Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you. To uncover the secret hiding place in just 1 day. Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? As I believe I told you, my dear fellows, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson? Stress eating the fish and chips. Grexy's been happily munching in agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley. Happily? I think perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth. So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the sea. What's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then, if you're ready. Let's examine the late burglar's hall. What the? What is that? It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar. A collar? It's huge though. For a hound? Wait, it's got blood on it. Curious. And look at all the gemstones set in it. I can see why it was claimed to be worth £1,000. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Oh, have you noticed on the inside there? There are some dark stains. And look at the bee in front. Baskerville? The Hound of Baskerville? Is it B for Baskerville? I wonder. You don't think? It could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it. On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. Then of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown. Victoria! Queen Victoria, yes. What does it signify, do you think? Oh, I hadn't noticed that. I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know? Where could it have been? Where could it have been? That's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? Queen Victoria, yeah, but the bee is the bee emoji. All the color has drained from his face. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this. Ought to. It could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Yes. Get your grubby hands off that, you lot, and hand it over. Now! Okay. Given that there's only been two things that's warranted that reaction. Hound of the Baskervilles, the story, and this thing. So, it's probably, yeah. I'm guessing the B stands for Baskerville. I've never seen a collar that large before. And all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me. At least, not once I noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar. Those stains. Could they really have been blood? He knows. He knows something. Yeah. Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now. And you look very pleased, Iris. I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use as the basis of this month's story in the magazine. This case would be perfect. It's been so fascinating. You're talking about the latest installment of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I presume. The Mystery of the Knife in the Mist, and The Mustache Man and the Convict's Curse, perhaps. I could make it a two-part story. Oh, I can't wait. A word please, Iris. Yes? What is it, Hurley? I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question. What? Why not? It's a great case. Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear? Yes.
And so it was that the second of Souseki-san's cases became buried in obscurity. Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story. It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again, with an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Oh, no ending cutscene. We just have a bit of narrated dialogue. Fair enough. They did kind of run out of they did run out of budget for anime cutscenes, right? Alright. Well, that was a lovely case. Very entertaining, lots of home stuff in it. The Return of the Great Departed Soul. Next time on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Look forward to that, I guess, chat. Thank you for joining me. I will see you guys around soon. Peace!